new managing director for MAS?
There's no time frame, but we certainly be looking to his replacement as soon as possible. But we have a few names in mind already. Oh. No time frame. Well, in fact, we have a very strong candidates in mind. So it's a question of just facing it for the body immediately. Thank you.
Why wasn't it Kuat Singapore retain his MD?
I'm sorry?
Why wasn't it Kuat Singapore retain his MD?
Well, as you know, we are looking at a new approach and a new model as well. And we found it best to have also a totally new team. Certainly, it's not distraction to very good effort and contribution of the person is extremely appreciative of what is done.
And with regards to this study on antitrust provisions, right? There's no antitrust provision in Asia, right?
We are at the beginning.
You can't see the one right?
Edge.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah, Isabel, we will be looking at all the antitrust provisions in all the markets we operate. I hope you appreciate that this is a global airlines or 3 global airlines, so we have to look at antitrust all over.
Just on the budget.
Yeah, actually, if I could add, among the safeguards, you would know that the competition law will take effect on 1st January 2012, including the formation of the Competition Commission. Okay. In addition to that, the particular regulator from the Ministry of Transport will be looking at public interest will come in. And certainly the antitrust laws around the world are well established, and I think both airlines and the
Sorry. With regards to the proposal for Khazanah to take up a stake in Asia, is there a deadline?
quickly.
One last one. Synergy gains.
Could we just limit one question per publication, please? Thank you.
Synergy gains from this collaboration.
No, it's too early to tell. I think we have announced the CCF and the setting up of the collaboration committee, and I think the next stage is for the committees to meet and discuss where they're going to collaborate, look at all the issues, and then work on where the synergies are.
Sorry, give me some insight as to how would you like to run Malaysian Airlines? How would you like to run Malaysian Airlines?
Could you let us know your name and your publication?
No. Bukan. No.
Sorry. I take mics. I think anyone said I was running MAS. Basically, there's an EXCO, and the EXCO will be looking at ways of, at the moment, looking at ways of running MAS at the moment. So there's 5 people in the EXCO that's charged with that.
Hi, Priscilla from Business Times. Basically, my question is on the fleet as well as air rights allocation, because now MAS and AirAsia, you all have different ways of applying and all that. And then also your fleet, you just ordered 200 planes. MAS has A380s under the way. So how does that work in all the plans? Are you actually looking at reviewing that?
No, I think that actually was kind of answered in what I said in my speech, and also should allay many of the concerns out there. Really, there's no scale back. AirAsia will require every single plane. And I dare say, with some of the plans I've heard of Malaysian Airlines, there'll be a requirement for more aircraft. So this is about growth. And there's so much, we're in a fantastic playground in Asia, especially in ASEAN. So there's tremendous growth opportunities. So I don't see any need to scale back any aircraft.
But to align the audience?
There's no aligning. No, I mean, in future, one of the things I think the collaboration committee can look at is ways of making purchasing more efficient and cheaper. But these are all very early days.
So whatever has been ordered stays?
one thing to note is the two airlines remain distinct and separate. Okay? There were many ways to structure this particular collaboration. I think we deliberately structured it in a way that those two airlines remain distinct and separate. Separate brands, separate business models, separate governance, separate boards, separate cultures even. And all in the idea is to focus on the core competencies. So in the case of MAS, I think quite clearly the first question was on a new CEO. I think that search is more than a search now. I think that process is well underway. And an EXCO to inform chaired by Tan Sri Manujuso. So plans on airlines, on the fleet, and so on and so forth. I think you heard Tan Sri Tony said that this collaboration would mean better days for Malaysian aviation. It will also mean that there will be growth. It is about growth and to capture the great opportunities in our neighborhood and beyond. Tony? Yeah.
We have the next.
Fong from Reuters. Just a quick question, sir. At what prices will the share swap between Tune Air and Khazanah be transacted at? And secondly, some of the analysts out there have read this particular agreement as tantamount to a rescue or bailout for MAS. How true is this?
Firstly, on the share swap, as I mentioned in the presentation, it was done based on the share prices as at 5th of August. Yeah, so when it's transacted, that will be the swap price, if you like. Yeah. On
So it so happened that was the last price that was agreed on, which translated into a swap ratio of 2.05. It was also 2.05 AM actually when we finally shook hands, right?
Trying to stretch it.
If you're interested, the actual location was One World Hotel. At 2:05 AM on Sunday morning. The point about bailout, there's no bailout. There's no traditional government money coming in. There's no Asia money coming in per se. We are exchanging shares at the shareholder level. They remain distinct companies, different P&L, different balance sheets. So there's no money coming across. You just create the scene for a better business model on both sides.
If you remember with AirAsia and AirAsia X, there was also talks about merging it, putting it together. But the boards felt it was key to separate it out and have different boards, different management driving it. That's and both. So again, the idea is not a merger at all. It's three different airlines plotting a course that I think will only better the consumers, grow the market, and create a lot more jobs. I think that's the key in a day where world markets are all over the place, creating a vibrant economy. And I think the spin-offs in terms of the aviation industry, training, engineering, is massive, obviously tourism.
May I know what's going to happen to Firefly? Can you explain what you mean it's going to refocus a regional full-service airline, something like Silk Air? What's your plan?
Could we know your name and your publication, please?
Melissa from Channel News Asia.
The immediate benefit of this cooperation is that it enables the two organizations to focus on their strengths and leveraging on their ready advantages. And the collaboration also centered mostly in terms of cooperating the jet aircrafts. With regard to Firefly, with looking at Tower 7 is very strong advantage in the double prop. It's really something that we will look very, very closely before we decide on anything. If at all we want to build on the ready advantage that we have. But you don't of late, Firefly has started some jet services as well. This will be looked at how we could organize better. Particularly, as I said just now, the collaboration allows MAS to focus on their strengths, which is the full service operation. So we're looking at buying flags as a base to improve our short-haul full service, and also looking at further improving our long-haul full service. And that would, I rather say, encourage Asia to even deepen their strong position in the short-haul low cost. So there are 4 quadrants in a way, if you like, in terms of the framework of competition these days. One could choose to focus on the short-haul low cost, or long-haul low cost, or the upper quadrant of long-haul full service but higher value, and short-haul full service higher value. So that 4 and these different market quadrants that we can look at. And this collaboration enables us to really leverage on our strengths, and we clearly have different strengths, and identify those strengths in both Asia and Malaysia Airlines.
Sorry, can we get another question from that side, please?
I've got one. Hi, I'm Michelle from the Star. Collaboration put aside, surely there will be areas where the respective airlines will be competing in. And how do you expect to do that? You've got common directors and common shareholders and all these airlines.
Certainly this is the interesting challenge, and certainly it pushes our ability to identify which is the preferred solution. Certainly.
Everything on our. Is that okay?
Yeah, that is one of the challenges that our joint committee will be looking at. Certainly, it's quite obvious that there are times when we were looking at who gives out and who gives in. That's interesting. But the good news is that we are looking at, particularly looking at the region, is growing tremendously. Right, there's 600 million population in this region, and who else but Asia and certainly Malaysia. But the advantage of organization, we believe they are more organized in terms of readiness to take advantage of that.
Are you saying MAS was not organized previously, and how many restructuring and transformation do you need? IBK
No, we were distracted, both sides. So, so this is an opportunity.
Actually this relationship, we had several negotiations before this, even way back during Idris time and those days. But somehow or other we could not cement whatever, they couldn't get the relationship right. I suppose today, with the alignment where the economic interests sort of align, so it gives us a lot of opportunities to really sit down and cement this relationship and get the best out of each company. So I suppose competition will still be there, but it will be healthy competition.
So is it
and not only the two companies will benefit, but I suppose the consumer as a whole will benefit too.
Is it
fair to say that it's because of MAS' weakened financial position that is the biggest motivation factor for this collaboration?
Sorry, Anita. Actually, in the press release, I made a few quotes in there. And among other things, if I can just, before I answer that directly, to just give a bit of background. Aviation, by a study that Khazanah did not so long ago, we estimate the economic multiplier of the economy is like 12 times. 12 times. This is a very high economic multiplier. We have representatives from central agencies like MOF here. You know, we are a very open economy. So currently, the way the aviation sector is organized, I think it's fair to say is a little bit fragmented in the sense that, for example, interlining, for example, connectivity. We have strong airlines. I think MAS, being a full-service carrier, they may not the only full-service carrier that faces turbulence economically. I think it's not easy. BK, your earlier question about previous restructurings, of which myself and others have been involved in, I sincerely believe if those things didn't happen, what Tony Grace and Tengku did earlier as well. I think the airline is actually would have been much worse off. In fact, some may argue it may not even have survived the 08 crisis, for example. So against that backdrop, I think AirAsia under Tony and Lin and their colleagues have very successfully built a business model in our region, and not combining, and indeed, as I said, competing in some cases, but also collaborating in other cases is really the key. Can you imagine the power? I think you do, I don't know how many million passengers a year. Mars does, I believe, about 13. AirAsia does about 20, 29. And if you look at the RPK, I think it's the other way around, or the ASKs in terms of capacity. This is a very powerful combination. But of course, we are mindful in terms of customer, they will have choice. They have better choice, they have better products. All of us can hopefully concentrate on our respective strengths and respective business models in terms of our core competencies. Okay, so you put all that together, I think we don't have time anymore to actually look at petty things, those petty differences, but it's actually now time, as Tony and others have said, to go forward and take hold as in terms of the opportunity out there. I think some have called this big Malaysia. I think, honestly, the remains to be seen. I think we have different companies, different cultures, but today I think we are certainly, I believe it's historic. I think we structured it in a pragmatic manner by keeping the company separate, but yet working out a collaborative agreement. So on that basis, I think we have now reorganized ourselves in Malaysia in a manner that actually positions us very well. And Tan Sri Bashi and Malaysia Airports actually will be part of the equation too. So I was with Tan Sri Bashi last night and saying, we're going to have to sit down. Obviously, all this fits in together, and hopefully less headache for the government as well in terms of trying to referee between all these people. There's some government representatives here.
Sorry, we have a question from us.
Yes, thank you.
Follow-up question. Does this mean that there will not be any more restructuring or transformation or bailouts in the future for Malaysia Airlines?
Well,
is this the end? And
it's not the end now. It's the start. Come on, again. It's not the end. It's the start. You can quote me on that. Okay. The airline industry, as you know, around the world, is not just us, but still there's a lot to do. Maybe that's really like to add to that.
I remember giving BK a book on the aviation industry. I can hear you quoting from the book. But as you know, the industry right from the early days of the commercial aviation in the 1945 has gone through all sorts of factors. And it's one industry that is closely linked to the economic cycle as well. So as long as there is a cycle, there will always be an impact on the industry. But rest assured that we know, as I mentioned just now, it's such a vital industry in terms of the economic multiplying effect that it generates for each country economy. So the industry will certainly flow and experience the ebbs and the flows of the economic cycle, but it will remain a strategic industry that everybody will look forward to sustaining.
Yes, Wayland here from Malaysian Insider. My question is under the NEM and the DTP, it seemed like the push was for the government to reduce its role in the private sector. So can Khazanah taking a stake in Tune Air be seen as kind of being in conflict with that? Thank you.
I don't think you can see me as GLC.
Yeah, Tony, GLC, I don't think so. No, I mean, seriously, it's a serious question about government's role in business. I think it has been covered under NEM and so on. Actually, I mean, it's not just talk, actually. If you look at it, it is a true collaboration because it's a cross, we call it a share swap. Yes, we own a stake, but it's a minority stake. And yes, but at the same time also, Tune Air owns a stake in Malaysia Airlines. So, that's really an alignment of shareholder interests. If I may just veer slightly, this is not the first case of collaboration that Khazanah has done with the private sector. You saw what we did with the UN Land and Sunrise, for example. You saw what we did with Line.com. Indeed, we think the more that we can put the respective strengths, I think as Dr. Srinazi in his introduction made the point about public-private partnerships in good one sense. It is a collaborative partnership between government-linked fund and company, as well as a very successful and entrepreneurial company. I think perhaps the entrepreneur may need to, in some situations that they go very quick, to institutionalize a little bit, at least not too much perhaps. And perhaps certainly the institution can learn to be more entrepreneurial. Of course, the challenge is how are we really going to cut this? I think these are the challenges of the days ahead. But we look forward to that, and we look forward to it with our new partners, or rather, our new collaborators.
We have another question on that. Yes, we could. Hi, Vivian from Bloomberg. For AirAsia, perhaps naturally or why would you guys do this? Well, from the look of it, AirAsia doesn't really need this. I mean, you are doing quite well on your own, so what is the rationale? Do you see this as a national service?
Same question.
Why do we do this? Well, I think we can make more money. I think there's a real potential. There are three reasons. One, I think there comes a point where you can put your energy better and more productively if we're all going the same direction, as opposed to, I think, negative energy sometimes working against each other. So I think that's the first one. And I think our time is better spent for Malaysia on a focused and concentrated effort to deliver a much better result for this country. And that means more flights into KLIA, that means more tourism, that means more jobs, and more economic development. For AirAsia, I think having the full-time energy to devote to growing the airline, we've just got the Philippines and we've just got Vietnam, and we've signed Japan. It frees us to be able to really focus on growing the airline 100%. I think that's very, very valuable. You can't ascertain that. I think having a clear airport strategy is critical for AirAsia, and so that will really help going forward. So I think there's huge benefits for AirAsia.
So does this mean you will get your KL Sydney route now?
Sorry?
Does this mean you will get the KL Sydney route now that you have been fighting for so long?
I think ASRAN will apply. Let's hope the Ministry of Transport gives it. I mean, that's the whole objective, is to grow.
And
was that a non-answer to a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think so.
So MAS will have to give up some rights?
No. Why? You never listen, BK. You choose to listen to what you want to. I think we're going to grow. Each of us will have routes to lots of places. You know, there's tremendous growth. Just because AirAsia is on Sydney doesn't mean Masters is on Sydney. I think there's about 5 flights a day from Singapore to Sydney on SIA. There's tremendous amount of growth potential. Emirates has so many flights to Australia. So I think there's a massive market for both AirAsia X, AirAsia and MAS. We have to stop thinking small. We want to compete with the big players of the world and have a slice of the huge market that's going to be there.
BK, I'd just like to add that the key fundamental principle of the collaboration agreement is that no party is worse off. That synergies are derived such that there is mutual benefit to both parties, and that one party doesn't gain at the expense of the other. This is very clearly spelled out in the collaboration agreement. Both will benefit, and obviously Malaysia benefits in the process.
We had another question on the back. Sorry, Chiba from the Star. Two questions. One is with the new EXCO at MAS as well as the new MD coming on board, what happens to the BTP? Will it be implemented or will there be changes made? And the second one, there are a lot of routes, domestic routes that are overlapped in terms of MAS and AirAsia. Will there be a streamlining of domestic routes?
Can I answer the second question first with CTP? Again, I keep repeating, there's plenty of market. There's no need for MAS to cut back any routes. There's no need for aviation to cut back any routes. There's plenty of choice. There's 5-star hotels, there's 3-star hotels. And the more services we have, you're even but this is not about rationalization of cutting back. This is about growing and having more flights. And as was asked by the very first question, we both ordered a lot of planes. Neither of us are cutting it back, so we both believe there's a huge market out there that's untapped. So there won't be any rush. I really firmly believe that there are enough markets. If we go around here, there's lots of 5-star hotels, there's lots of 3-star hotels. So there's plenty of market for these two different core markets. So I don't see any cutback of flights.
Yeah, essentially, you're talking about what happened to the existing plans. Certainly, we have introduced a new dimension to also to the plan, which has got a number of very good things going on, which definitely something that not necessarily withdraw. Most important thing is that we remain flexible and alert to new opportunities. And we believe that collaboration arrangement open up a new dimension for the system for both. In fact, I had a meeting with my senior people today, last week, and particularly the representatives of people explaining, we are looking at this not as rewriting plans, but to look at how we can take advantage of new opportunities. And particularly in our case here, we're looking at willing to the opportunity in terms of expanding revenue rather than lowering our cost. Quite often when people talk about business reset or rewrite, the first thought that comes to mind will be cost cutting, and then this unnecessarily evoking concerns among the employees. Our approach is to expand revenue, and with this collaboration, we really see an opportunity to go on the revenue expansion rather than cost reduction.
To be a premium carrier at SIA, you would need to maybe rebrand and refurbish and a new look or something like that. Would you be going on that exercise for MAS? Because if they are not going, if they're going to be existing, they're not going to be able to sell seats like the way SIA or Emirates sells their seats. So
thank you for the suggestion, Vicky. I'm looking at my friend in next door. So, what do you think we need to do?
Can we get the last question because we're running out of time. Sorry, two quite basic questions. Sorry, we have a question from this young lady. She's waiting quite long.
Joy from the Edge. This is not the first time that MAS has actually come up with discussions for collaboration or merger. What was the stumbling block back then with all the other discussions, and what made this one work?
You're referring to AirAsia or others?
MAS and AirAsia.
MAS and AirAsia. I think there's been various reporting and misreporting on how many number of times or whatever. But I think as Tan Sri Doni mentioned, I think, and Dr. David, I think there were previous attempts, but perhaps the whole airline industry was not so ready at different times. No point, I think, speculating for the past. I think today, given the size of AirAsia and the size of MAS, and they serve different segments of the market, and where the world has gone, and the opportunities in that. And you see, I think, a reshaping of the whole aviation industry from Middle East airlines and low-cost carriers, and increased risk in many kinds of areas. I think it's actually a very good time to do so. Okay. Actually, if I may add to that Mano was looking the shuttlecock at half court, what expecting me to return or if not I cannot smash against Chief about expansion and growth. I mean, Khazanah, to be clear, airline is actually, as a matter of fact, is under 3% of our portfolio, Khazanah. Actually, our investments in leisure and tourism, I think you've already seen a little bit of tip of the iceberg. I mean, for example, in Langkawi, the Datai Peninsula we announced last year, Desaru, those in the trade know, there's some major investments going in. Iskandar, Malaysia, theme parks, okay? You see even some attractions in the Klang Valley, Kidzania, and so on and so forth. All these things, if you look back to all your announcements, is actually larger and getting even larger. So in short, what is our interest from a portfolio manager? There's an interest from a country, obviously, which I already explained, 12 times multiplier and so on. For us, we want good connectivity. They come by Asia, they come by Asia X, they come by MAS. This is all very good for us, very good for the airports, obviously. Now, this is a growth-driven strategy. I think I think the people from MAS, please take that message. This message is about growth and an opportunity. Khazanah has been firmly behind Malaysian Airlines. We remain in position, 49% single largest shareholder. The government's position is further augmented by the special share of the government that remains. But it is now also in close collaboration with a very successful entrepreneurial group. And I just want you to take that message. It's about growth. It's not about, so for example, we hope just like Sydney will be also open to others. There's enough room for everybody. We also hope MRO, for example, I think the previous attempts for you to use the engineering services on Mars got started somewhere. We can't even remember where. There's been so many rounds that we hope things like that. Obviously, it makes sense rather than going out of the country. Surely Mars, and I know we have world-class engineers can go out there and give those services at prices that work for Asia and Asia X. So you can see it's a brave new world, a world full of new things.
Members of the media, unfortunately, we've run out of time, and this is the end of the Q&A session. Sorry. Okay, one last question.
From the Sun. I just want to know what is your target time frame for you to turn around Malaysia Airlines? And from the list of directors, the new directors, they are great people in their respective industry, but they don't have experience in the aviation industry. So how do you actually select them as directors in the first place? How do you?
I quickly just say, Dane and me were from the music business.
And now, the most definitely two directors are from the aviation. And that you don't know, of course.
So, in fact, Anthony, certainly elegantly replied here. In fact, we bring complementary skills, set of talents into the board. In addition to the deep technical experience we have and competencies in the organization, so we believe it's a good combination there. Time frame for turnaround, certainly your wish is as similar as mine. But we believe we have in place those levers that we could use if we diligent in applying those levers. We might even pleasantly surprise ourselves. But certainly there's no magic about it. But what we see is that there are clear ways of doing things better.
Okay.
Okay.
there's a concern that the collaboration today can create a monopoly in the air travel industry.
I'll answer that very quickly on my side. For a start, it's not a merger of any sort. It's just shareholder alignment. Two AirAsia is born on the fact of lowering fares. I want to add, there are routes that we're the only ones that operate over the last 8-9 years. Almost 45% of our routes no one operated. And yet, every year, if you look at it, our fares went down. We keep increasing frequency, and the fares go down. So the only way AirAsia can survive is to grow the market and to keep low fares. If you price yourself out of the market, no one's going to fly with us. So the thought of monopoly is crazy. Plus, I also want to say that there's a lot of choice of airlines, certainly internationally. There's SIA, there's Emirates, there's Qatar, etc. We have to be competitive to be able to. There's lots of low-cost carriers in Indonesia, in Singapore, etc. There's open skies coming. So if we're not competitive, and we live in a global world, if we're not competitive, people won't fly with us. So there's no fear of that. And our whole philosophy at AirAsia is to increase frequency, lower fares. Our religion is low fares, and nothing changes from that. That is very much so. There's no fear for the people of Malaysia to feel the fares are going up. It's just not in our DNA at all. And this is not a merger to put fares up. It's a merger to put energy into the right areas so we get better services to the Malaysian public and to be able to compete more efficiently in this global world and to make our hub much, much stronger than it potentially can be as it is right now, and putting all the energy into a positive way as opposed to spending a lot of time on negative energy, and collaborating and synergy, like Natasha mentioned, in engineering, in training, in developing aviation services.
If I can add, apart from the fact that, as Tony and others have said, it's been structured not as a merger. There are two distinct separate companies. One. And then also remember there are two distinct separate business models. Okay? So one is, as Tony said, is about lowering fares. I mean, the other is a full service carrier that gives customer choice rather than the other way around. Okay? On top of that, not to forget the safeguards. Government is putting in horizontal regulator, so to speak, antitrust competition regulator, 1st January 2012. And this is on top of Ministry of Transport, the government is public interest, and so on. So I think there's enough safeguards, but fundamentally, even embedded in the business structure and now the industry structure, they are actually pro-consumer in terms of giving better choice. And certainly it must aim towards giving a better customer experience in terms of connectivity, in terms of interlining later. Okay, so that's certainly our plan and our hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is the end of the Q&A session.